Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final night of the 3-day mini series. Tonight, I think, is going to be a fun one because I'm going to be bringing out lots of food to really show you some examples of how to eat and how to actually eat for fat loss to actually get the results that you are looking for. As always, I want to do a quick recap of kind of what I would say yesterday, but after Tuesday and Wednesday's trainings, and then obviously diving into today and how to actually eat and ways to support all these things. The biggest thing is without burnout, without restrictions, incorporating some fun foods and drinks. I think that is really important, and I always push and promote that through the whole time. So anyway, as always, if you are live, give me a wave. Hello. If you are here, I'd love to see who's on here. Actually, I can't always see the comments and things like that, but like I said, that's the one downfall with my Facebook Live. For whatever reason, I can't always see things. But anyway, if you're live, say hello. And of course, if there's any questions or anything through this, then shoot me a message and I will make sure to answer those as I go along. So, like I said, I wanted to do a quick recap of the first day and second day of these. As well, I'm also going to be announcing a winner at the end of this for a fun little giveaway for just joining me on these lives. So just for you joining, you will win a fun little package after this. So remember, the most important part with like day one, we kind of dove in into the reason why some of the current things and strategies that you're already doing isn't necessarily working, whether it's doing too many things, whether it's just implementing too sporadic. Also, if you aren't creating enough consistency, those are the biggest culprits of not being able to see the results, to do the things that you want to do. Consistency. Is the plan right? Are you matching the plan according to your lifestyle and in order to help see any type of fat loss and weight loss goals? And if those aren't matched up, then of course one of the things, it will be tough to actually, I've lost my little screen preview here. Anyway, it's going to be hard to actually see weight loss results when things aren't matching what type of external output you're providing it, as well as what you're eating, as well as all the things that go under the health umbrella that can get kind of crazy. But we do need to start step by step. And then yesterday, if you watched it, it was a recording. I hope you guys saw that one. It actually talked about the strategy, and the number one strategy that most that most women skip when trying to lose weight is skipping the first phase, which all has to do with is your body actually prepared to lose fat? A lot of women are always constantly trying to just lose fat immediately, and sometimes your body's not even ready to do that. So you have to make sure you're fueling your body with proper nutrients. Everybody's got a little bit of different caloric and macro needs based on obviously activity level, age, things like that. There's a variety of different factors that go into that. Just say not just activity level, even stress levels. I always a lot of people forget about that stress actually plays a significant role in caloric needs. Side note, if you have a high stress job, you just have high stress schedules, high stress, you actually need more food. Side note, a lot of people don't think about stress as a thing. But as well, I talked about that was the most important step, that you need to make sure the body is actually ready and prepared. So we have to heal the body most of the time. So everybody that comes to work with me, we do a healing portion first. When I say healing, I'm not waving candles or doing any woo-woo things like that. Is we're actually providing the body fuel. We're also working on stress management, sleep management, hydration, in order for the body to be ready to actually lose fat. And this is the main part, is to keep it off. If you constantly skip that phase and are always trying to lose fat and lose weight immediately, you will always go up and down, up and down. So make sure you watch yesterday's recording. It's a really important one that you do not want to miss. So of course, tonight I'm going to be diving into basically, what does a balanced plate look like? I think this is a really good place to look at, like, what type of food should I be eating? I think foods become the most we've made it the most confusing, because I think there are so many recipes and so many different styles of cooking. It's very confusing and overwhelming. Trust me, I see my social media is filled with all these pages too. If you look at my social media, it's filled with nutrition coaches and strength coaches and all those things. And it's filled with stuff, and it's very confusing for the general public. And so I understand. And so I want to break this down step by step in order. Now, I originally was going to be in my kitchen, but I've got family visiting, so the kitchen has actually been taken over, which is fine. And so I brought my kitchen down here with me to really give you some ways of how you start to build some of the dishes to make sure that you obviously are fueling your body properly. Like I said, at the end of the day, everybody does have different caloric needs and macros, so different types of protein, carbs, and fats, depending on the individual's lifestyle and needs. That's where it becomes individualized. But this, I'm going to give you an idea of really what around 2,000 calories looks like within breakfast, snack, lunch, and dinner. And of course, a sweet treat. I'm always about sweet treats. I love sweets. And so, yeah, I will give you a little prime example of what this looks like. So the most important part is a lot of women, before I dive in, I'm going to do one quick thing to think about. And this is probably the most common thing that happens when women come to me, or just questions in general, I should say, is they have a tendency to either skip breakfast or lunch. Dinner usually is a pretty decent meal that comes into play for the most part. Every once in a while, I'll have a client that's just like, oh my gosh, dinners are the worst. We can't plan them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everybody doesn't have any issues with dinner. But so let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you, and I want you to comment down below. I actually need to go get my phone. My phone's upstairs because I can't see the comments, and I want to see the comments. Is which meal do you think is something that you have the hardest getting in? Is it breakfast? Is it lunch? Is it dinner? Or maybe it's a snack? Comment down below. I may give you guys a couple minutes. I'm going to go run and grab my phone so I can see the comments, and I'll be right back. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, like I said, I think it's really good to look at which one is the hardest one for you to actually implement, and this will kind of determine which one you really need to start focusing on. So a lot of times people, I will say, the reason I ask this is breakfast and lunch have a tendency to get skipped the most, not intentionally, but because that's the time of day you're the busiest. You're going around, you are getting ready for work, you're taking your kids to school, activities. You are just kind of busy. The second you wake up, you go, 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 go. And then at the end of the day, the evening, you guys typically eat like a family dinner or something like that. So dinner doesn't traditionally get skipped. It's usually breakfast and lunch that get skipped. These become really important. So let me tell you why breakfast and lunch become very, very important, even more so than the what's. But these become really important so that you are providing fuel, constant fuel throughout the day. We're not that you're saving calories intentionally, but we're not holding off on food. And then guess what happens? When we get really busy throughout the day, whatever that busy is, we get hungry. And then guess what happens at dinner time? Sometimes you become starving and you want to eat everything that is in front of you. And then sometimes you'll eat dinner and then you need another post-dinner snack because you're still hungry, and and then it becomes emotion-driven, sleep-driven, like all these things. You lean into cravings. And what happens is it's not that you're necessarily under-eating. Because of course, if you have too much body fat, it really has to do with the caloric input-output that's not matching. But you're overeating on those meals, which therefore you consume too many calories at the end of the day because you save so much, not intentionally because you're busy, but you save your food towards the end of the day, and therefore you will overeat in the evening. Now, you might not do this every day. Maybe it's just random days. Maybe it's on the weekends. Maybe weekends are your worst culprit. Like maybe a lot of people's weekends become a struggle because weekends are so non-traditionally scheduled. We're not going to work. We have different activities, schedules, and people don't typically, it's harder to stay on track with food. So sometimes we just kind of go off on the weekends as well. So when we aren't consistent enough between the day, between breakfast, lunch, and a snack, we hold off and then we become very hungry and just consume whatever we want. Or vice versa, you have a really nice clean week, Monday through Friday, and then because the weekends are unstructured, they're a non-traditional schedule, we end up just eating whatever we want on the weekends, and that can also cause us to consume more calories anyway when we eat out. And I'm saying literally whatever you eat. And I'm a coach that will always push and promote eat out. Like, eating out is part of today's lifestyle. I don't believe that you should never not eat out. Eating out, I think, is a really important part of today's society. It's an important part of just how we live. If you're a busy person, busy mom, which most women, typically are that are on here, it's fine to eat out. It is fine to go through fast food. So I'm never here to tell you to not do that. I am here to tell you that most days have some plan, some structure, and then we incorporate a couple times to eat out. And I always encourage people to eat out during the week. Like, it helps you not crave those eating out options on the weekends, and be a little bit more planned and prepared. So kind of 2 cents when it comes to that. So let's talk about what those dishes actually look like when you are planned and when you are prepared. So breakfast number one, this is my number one breakfast. I probably eat most days. I actually only rotate between, well, I should say 2 main breakfasts if I have enough time to cook, and then I have one that I literally run and grab on the go. So my breakfast number one, that's not the actual meal, but my breakfast number one is my Kodiak powder protein pancake mix. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is a processed food, Casey, and I've talked all about all the products that ideally you want most of your products from fish and meat and animal products, which I do, but I'm telling you, there's just something with this dish that I just love. So if you have not seen my pancake bowl, so I don't actually make the pancakes, it turns into a pancake bowl. This does, I'm telling you, take like 10 minutes, or I should say, no, 5 minutes to actually make. I use a 1 serving size of this, and then I throw, let me get all my goodies out here. And then, get some of this stuff out here. And then what I do is I actually throw in a scoop of vanilla protein powder in here, so 1 scoop. And I literally mix this with water, throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes. And then the best part, I don't want to bring the frozen berries, but I use frozen berries. You can also do, of course, fresh raspberries. Very fibrous source. Remember, we're also looking at fiber. I'm going to talk about the macros of this dish real quick. These protein cakes also are decent in fiber. There's 5 grams of fiber in 1 serving, and that's what we're utilizing. Plus, you're getting fiber from the berries. I just love berries. And then, my favorite dish. If you guys have not seen my pancake bowl, it's good. I have full recipe of this as well. Anyway, and then I actually take peanut butter. If you heard me the other day, I actually buy basic whatever peanut butter. I don't get fancy, super healthy peanut butter. Yes, are there healthier options? But because I heard there's 4 of us in here, I used to buy different peanut butter for myself and different one for my kids and my husband, and I got really tired of that. I was like, screw it. So I just eat what they eat. All the macros are actually the same. I mean, the ingredients, yes, they're... Anyway, as I talk about, it's not one thing, right? I know there's soybean oil in here. Palm oil. Anyway, and I eat this. And anyway, I do about a tablespoon and a half, and I melt that into a bowl. And I drizzle this on top of the melted berries. I'm telling you, the melted berries are so good. It creates a little sauce. And then I even throw a little honey on top, and it is delicious. This whole bowl, this protein pancake bowl, like I said, I'm telling you, takes about 5 minutes to make. It's about 500 calories. Oh, let me pull this up here too, because this is how often I actually have it saved as one of my dishes that I eat on repeats. It's about 500 calories. It is, where'd the back go? I missed where. There is 42 grams of protein in that dish. There is a decent amount of carbohydrates in there, which, ladies, you do need carbs, so make sure you eat those. There's actually around 6 to 7 grams of fiber that go into this. And then the fat is a little bit higher because, again, you have to watch. I don't like to do a full serving of this just because I try to monitor some fats. And then it's around like 8 to 9 grams of fat for that whole breakfast. 500 calories is very filling. Now, Remember, this is for a rounded 2,000 caloric need. This is somebody that's been eating breakfast, that likes pretty hearty breakfasts. If you do not like hearty breakfasts, so I'm going to give you my breakfast number 2, that this is something that I actually eat on the go. You could, of course, eat this as a snack. You could eat this as a quick lunch. You could also eat this as a quick dinner. I am telling you, this is when I don't even have time to cook. I literally need to grab stuff and go. I have a different protein powder, but I have a cookies and cream peanut butter. Oh my gosh, cookies and cream. So I do 2 scoops. Everybody forgets that you can do 2 scoops of this. That gets you up to 42 grams of protein, the fastest protein drink you can drink. And I mix mine with water. You could also do like Fairlife milk or regular milk, whatever toots your horn. Then I grab rice cakes. Here's the carbohydrate source because you're looking for carbs. So I have my protein source. Here's my carbohydrates. We need the carbohydrates. This is you need digestible carbohydrates. Oh, guess what? We also need a fat and a fiber. So we're monitoring that. Guess what my fat is? Peanut butter. Peanut butter goes onto my rice cakes. And then sometimes I throw raspberries or like a bowl of mixed berries on the side. Or, I'm not kidding you, I grab an apple. This is the tiniest apple, but I grab an apple. Fiber. This is your fiber source. Yes, this is also carbohydrates as well. We still need all the carbs, but this is how I start to look at my dishes. Do I have a protein, fat, carbohydrate, and a fiber source? Sometimes your carbohydrate source can count for fiber as well. It can double whammy. But in this case, rice cakes are not very fibrous. They're rice. Rice isn't a very fibrous food. And this dish alone is also around like 400 calories. Pretty simple. This is something I eat. Also, I actually had this for breakfast today. I did a banana actually instead. Bananas have fiber, not super high, but I was just in the mood for a banana, so I didn't go overly high on fiber. You can do that too. Remember, the rules are meant to ebb and flow. We don't have to be so strict on nutrition. That's what we live this thought process that we have to be like, what's my calories? What's my carbs? What's my protein? What's my fat? What do my numbers need to be at? We get so hung up on those. Start simple. Make sure you have those dishes, those things on your plates as you are building. All right, next thing. So that's breakfast options. I do throw in eggs. Eggs can get a little more challenging. I actually ebb and flow with eggs. Sometimes I don't want them. I get tired of them. But here's the downfall with quick recap with eggs before I get to my lunch. So eggs. 1 egg. Let me ask you this. I'm going to challenge you. How many grams of protein do you think 1 egg has? Well, I want to hear what your answer is. Thanks, Abby. I'm glad your tips. Oh, and thank you for the happy birthday week. Let's see. Eggs. All right. So the quantity, I didn't actually bring an egg down here. I don't want to break them. Eggs only have 7 grams of protein in the egg. 1 whole egg is 7 grams of protein. Yes, they are higher in fats due to the yolk. Now remember, fats are great. We do need fats, ladies, right? So get this. If you have, and I should say it depends if you're having medium or large, you're 6 to 7 grams of protein. Let's go with 6 just for the number. 6 grams of protein per egg. If you have 2 eggs for breakfast, you have now created 12 grams of protein. 12 grams of protein isn't overly high. I will challenge you, depending on the person. But I'm going to challenge you to get closer to 20 grams of protein at breakfast. Once again, I have clients that are just not eating breakfast, so 2 eggs is better right now for them than nothing. This is where this has become individualized. This is why it's very important to match where you are currently at. But your 2 eggs equals 12 grams of protein. So we need some other protein sources that can go with the eggs, right? Now, you could do 3 eggs, but sometimes eggs guess why eggs are really filling? Because they are a protein and fat source, phenomenal sources of protein, phenomenal sources of fat. But because protein and fat are very satiating, it becomes hard to consume them. So what I actually like to do, I like to do 1 to 2 eggs, whole eggs, and then to bump the protein up without getting overfilling or having too much caloric on my plate, I use egg whites. So I actually use like a cup of egg whites with 1 to 2 whole eggs. That gets you close to 30 grams of protein. It doesn't get things oversatiated or too full because now you're just doing straight protein without the fat source. Now guess what I'm missing with my eggs? A carbohydrate. So a lot of times I could utilize an apple. Say I wanted a carb, so I could utilize an apple with that, which guess what? This is also fiber. So I've got fiber and carb, check. So the last piece of information that I'm missing, carbs, fats. Actually, you hit them all. You could do that. Now that I'm saying this out loud, you could do 2 eggs, some egg whites, and an apple, and now you've had protein, fats, and carb, and you have fiber included in there, and that is a very balanced dish, because guess what? You've got the fats from the egg yolk. Now, if this isn't oversatisfying, for me, I actually would need a little bit bigger dish than this. Sometimes I do whole wheat toast with peanut butter and some fruit. That's what I do sometimes. But anyway, that's how you start to look at things. Let's move on to lunch. Lunch. Casey, what in the world do you eat for lunch? My number one thing for lunch, I'm not kidding you, leftovers from dinner. I make enough food, mainly a carb and protein source, so I have that in my fridge at all times. This is what I pulled out from my fridge. I have some leftover ground beef. I made some burger bowls on Sunday, and so I have some leftover ground beef from that still. I made 3 pounds of ground beef. You're going to love my packaging, guys. I have some jasmine rice, a very hefty bowl of this. This is my leftovers for my rice. And so now, for lunches, if I want to make a burger bowl, I can remake my burger bowl that I did the other day. Or this is what I ate for lunch today. I did a cup of rice, cooked rice already. This is all cooked, so guess what? I just throw it in the microwave. I do anywhere from like 5 to 6 ounces of ground beef. Throw that into the bowl. Then, whatever veggie source, my favorite vegetables are in the bag. I buy frozen veggies, guys. Lots of frozen veggies. Because not everybody eats them very much in my household. I'm the main veggie eater, and so it's just me, and so I eat a lot of these. Sometimes I throw these in the air fryer. They're delicious. So now we've got our protein source as the meat, our carbohydrate source as from the rice. Oh my goodness. And then guess what? We actually do get fiber and carbs from here. So here's my fiber in color onto my plate. There is one little piece that I'm missing. You can guess what it is a fat source. Now, the fat source could also come from your meat depending on the quantity of fat. Mine is a 93.7 cut ground beef. Now, I do get some fat from there. Let me relook up my macros. I actually tracked this. Let me see what this is. So, for lunch, yes, that's actually plenty. It's I did 6 ounces of ground beef at 93.7. It was 10 grams of fat. So that, and I'm going to throw in one other thing that I like to throw in my ground beef. Oh, I didn't bring it. Anyway, I actually really like barbecue sauce on mine. So I did not make the burger bowl. I decided to do more of a ground beef with barbecue sauce and vegetables type style. Hi, Dad. Oh, no. So anyway, that would be your lunch. This is a very satiating lunch. You are looking, honestly, at this lunch at around like 500 calories for this lunch. And yes, a 500 calorie lunch and breakfast and dinner is very quality, very satiating. You need to incorporate these foods throughout the day so you're not ravishing at night. That is the most important part. And then you end up, guess what? Your blood sugars stay much more level as you're going throughout the day. And these become really important so that you don't get these crashes. And sometimes I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. I definitely hit these. Sometimes I start to get really tired, and sometimes my tiredness is a sign of hunger versus like my stomach actually growling. I have to do a quick mental check. When was the last time I ate? What did I eat? Was that really satiating? Am I actually hungry? And a lot of times my tired cues are actual hunger cues. Be mindful of that as well. It's not always like a stomach growl. Sometimes it's just starting to feel really fatigued. That's another way to kind of do a quick trick. A quick check-in. Sometimes it's hydration. Sometimes it's just for sitting for too long. But I know for me, tiredness is a cue that I need to eat. side note on that one. So leftovers for lunch is the game changer. Now, if you do not want leftovers, I brought another option for you all to give you a quick demo. So sometimes we don't have leftovers. Sometimes it's all gone. So I am a big, this is the lunch meat, and I know there has been some information about how, like, previous information about how terrible lunch meat is, but at the end of the day, lunch meat actually isn't that bad, and this is not even like an organic type of lunch meat. I'm telling you, this is how I eat. I feed this to my family and my kids. I don't feel like this isn't necessarily a bad consumption or anything. I'm checking to see if I can get any more comments, but no, okay. But so I will buy turkey. If you want to buy some like organic stuff, go for it, whatever floats your boat. But this is a great source of, obviously, here's your protein source. The reason why I like this is you do need to get your actual serving size. So for about 2 ounces of this is 10 grams of protein. So guess what? We're going to do ideally 4 ounces. So you're going to double this so you get closer to 20 grams of protein. But here's your protein source. This is also very low in fat, so it wouldn't count as a main fat source. Here comes my carb source. I love these crackers. If you guys have Simple Mills, so as you're noticing, I'm putting together a little lunch box here. Simple Mills is my carbohydrate source. Not overly high in fiber, so I'm going to use this as my carbohydrate source. So here we go with my lunch, carbohydrate source. Now we're going with the fat source. I actually had this exact meal the other day. Laughing Cow cheese. Great, you can use any type of cheese as a fat source. Cheese is fat, by the way. And so you're getting about 3.5 grams of fat, but guess what I do? One's not enough, guys, so we need 2 of these. So now we have protein, carbs, and fat. We are missing one item. You can guess what that is. Drum roll, it is fiber. There's no fiber into this. So this will leave you slightly hungry. It will leave you slightly satisfied, but it's not fully satiated. Remember, we're getting nice quality meal portion sizes together, right? So it's only going. I think my kids have a challenge, I think, of hopping in my videos. You're funny. So, fiber sources. We could add a vegetable. We could add you could do some type of a vegetable like broccoli, green beans. Unfortunately, carrots aren't terrible. They could be a little bit more fibrous incorporated in there. Once again, berries are my big go-to, so I could throw a handful of berries. I love berries and apples. These are probably my biggest fiber sources, and like whole wheat. And like my greens. I do broccoli and green beans a lot. This would be a fiber source. Great lunch. It's like an adult lunchable, right? You've got all 3 things. Boom. Nice little add-on. Now we're last but not least going to dinner. This is actually what I ate for dinner. I'm pulling out leftovers. This is actually more leftovers in my fridge. Now, not everybody likes leftovers, which is fine. This is conversations that I have with people. And so if you're not a big leftover person, you have to get a little bit more creative with some of the dishes that are available. But the most important part with leftovers is at least having a protein source cooked. I always encourage my clients on before leading into the week, get your protein cooked, because that usually takes the longest. If you're sauteing, doing something, then you can turn your protein into other things. You can throw it into a wrap, you can throw it into a salad, you could just eat it plain, you could throw it onto rice, etc. Those are really good sources. So my last one, like I said, it's full on out of my fridge. This is actually pasta, guys. I ate this the other night. I did use Banza pasta. I don't always use Banza pasta. I kind of rotate it. My favorite Banza pasta are the spiral noodles, by the way. I think that tastes the least. The Banza pasta of the actual spaghetti noodles, I don't like. My family doesn't like, so nobody eats those. I actually cooked this with ground turkey, and then I did the Rayo's sauce, and then some Parmesan. Pretty basic. So your carbohydrate source is going to be the Banza pasta. Now the Banza pasta, the win-win with this is it also is very fibrous as well. So you're getting a fibrous carbohydrate through the Banza pasta, which is fantastic. I'm getting my protein with the ground turkey, and then my fat source, because I actually did a 99% lean ground turkey meat, is I did Parmesan cheese on top and melted it. This was my dinner. I'm telling you, pretty simple, basic. Did I add a color? I actually did have a salad on this one, but I think some nights I just eat this because I'm too lazy. I think one other night I had some cooked zucchini that I did mix in there to get a little bit of color in here. But I hit my protein, fat, and carbs all in one dish. Now, I will get asked, Casey, how do you measure this? Because this is a pre-cooked, this is the biggest one. This is a pre-cooked meal. I put it all in one pot, right? Now, when you were first working on weighing and measuring food out, this is my most suggested thing I suggest with this. Cook these all separate. Put your bowl together. Put a bowl of cooked pasta. Put your meat on the top and the sauce and the cheese. Measure each of those out so you have an idea of what that looks like. I have been tracking off and on for over 2 years within my lifetime, so I have an idea of what this looks like. Now, am I guesstimating? Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not, right? If I were to measure every gram, it would be. But I'm just kind of guessing. I was like, oh, based on my leftovers, I'm pretty sure I had maybe only about 3 to 4 ounces of ground turkey, which that's fine. I had about three cups of pasta, because that's the bigger part. This is a little bit more heavier caloric of a dish. And then because the sauce is literally already mixed in here, because it's leftovers, I'm like, I probably had about 1/4 of a cup of the sauce. Once again, I have weighed and measured individual bowls of this multiple times, and this gives me an idea of already what I'm doing. So if you have those dishes, I highly recommend getting enough practice of understanding of that. Then when you get to mixed dishes like this, it doesn't become as overwhelming to track. There are lots of other tips. I've seen other coaches talk about how do you measure chili and stuff like that. I don't like to figure that stuff out. If you are a person that does, go for it. I've also utilized ChatGPT. I probably could have threw this into ChatGPT to give me an idea of how much this was consuming. Like I said, this was probably a much heavier dinner. I did track this one. Like I said, I tracked it tonight as a guesstimate, and this was a little bit heavier of a dinner. This was closer to, what else I got? Hold on. I added some random things in here. I was really hungry for dinner tonight. This is about 650 calories for dinner. That was it. Pretty basic dinner. Now, there's one more dish. Once again, you could also use your lunch for dinner. You could use your breakfast for dinner. You could use your dinner for breakfast. You can rotate your meals. We forget this for all meals. Like this could be a snack. I don't know. It'd be a pretty hefty snack, but go for it, I suppose. You can do a lot of different rotations in your meals. Most importantly for breakfast, I should say for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Start with one meal, especially breakfast, because usually we're the busiest. I want you to pick 2 to 3 breakfast rotations and rotate them each day. So you only have 3 men, pretend you're at a restaurant, you only have 3 items for breakfast on the menu. You only get to pick those 3. And you rotate. So one day maybe it's yogurt with granola. I do eat that as well. That's actually one of my favorite snacks. That's breakfast 1. Breakfast 2 is your eggs. Breakfast 3 is a smoothie. Rotate those. Maybe it's the pancake bowl, guys. This is mine. My rotation is pancake bowl, the rice cakes with peanut butter and literally a protein shake on the side, or eggs. I have 3. That's it. And I rotate based on how I feel. Every once in a while, I'll make something a little bit different, but it just depends on the day. And then the thing that I talked about for leftovers for lunch when I did the ground beef, obviously you can change your meat source. Is it chicken? Is it shredded chicken? Is it cubed chicken? Is it rotisserie chicken? Is it chicken drumsticks? Is it chicken thighs? There are different ways to rotate the flavors and the taste of the meats so that you are always eating the same thing. I try to rotate my meats every week to have different variety. I try to do different cuts. I try to do different marinades to change up the flavor. And then the last thing I talked about is your starch, right? So I eat a lot of, these are my main side dishes. This is my ugly rice bowl. But rice, I rotate between jasmine rice, sweet potatoes, russet potatoes. I rotate between those 3 as my main starches. This week, I don't always eat pasta, but I was getting tired of those, and so I threw in pasta as another different carbohydrate source to mix it up. Sometimes I'll throw in, I love orzo. I actually do a handful of different dishes with orzos. If you've ever tried that, that's delicious. And you rotate. rotate. Every week we rotate different rotations, different combinations. And then you're looking at protein, carbohydrate, fat, and is there fiber included in that? Is it fibrous carb or just a carb on its own? But if it is, then you need to add a carb. Same thing with the fats. Is it a fatty meat? You might not need to add fats. If it's a leaner cut of meat, then you will need to add a fat source in there, such as avocado. You could do a little butter. Sometimes I throw butter onto my beans. If I didn't feel like I was a little bit low on fat for the day, I will sprinkle some of those in. You could also do nuts. I don't do a whole nuts. My favorite fat source, this is why my fat I do okay with, because I love peanut butter. Peanut butter is probably my main fat source. Guess what my second number one probably fat source comes from, besides the fat on the meat, is chocolate. So chocolate is actually a fat source, guys. If you did not know this is a fat source. It obviously can be great sprinkled in. I got really hooked on these Lily's. I found these salted caramel dark chocolates. I'm not kidding. I put them in a little ramekin. I was snacking on them right before here as my sweet treat. This is my sweet treat for right now. At some point, I will get tired of these, and I'll probably buy something else. Sometimes I buy like Yasso ice cream bars. There's different sweet treats, and that's what I wanted to end with is if you like sweets, eat them because they're delicious. There's not yes, is there more nutrient-dense foods? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, consume them if you like sweets. And if you have a high sweet tooth, like you crave sweets, there's a difference between craving and wanting. And usually the number one culprit is a lack of consistent food coming in throughout the day and getting enough protein into those dishes. When you have more consistent food sources coming in and a quality protein sources as well, guess what goes away? The sweet cravings. And I tell everybody, this is usually the one thing that goes away is when you start incorporating enough protein and quality food sources, the sweet cravings go away, but it doesn't mean you don't ever want sweets. I am a sweets person. Do I crave them? No, but do I like them and enjoy them? 100%. So I eat them every day. I'm okay with little pieces of chocolate. I've done individual wraps of chocolate. And I am a big proponent of not swapping out your desserts, like a healthy dessert for like I don't know. I would rather have like real cookie over some like protein rice cake cookie. I'm like, that's a rice cake, not a cookie. I am big on that. And with white flour and white sugar with those things, because I just feel like we have to eat those things. You can't replace them. And the last thing I've just started to recently do, I actually did cut some of these up already, for another sweet treat that I've been with, because it's cherry season right now. Dark cherries have been like golden. They really, actually, I love dark cherries and chocolate. Have a little snack with these. It curbs a phenomenal sweet tooth. You're not over consuming in like ice cream. If I'm monitoring, making sure that you're eating appropriate calories, etc. But don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, you gotta go get the ice cream or the cake or whatever, because guess what? Just like eating out in restaurants, we need to incorporate those foods more often and not restrict them. Restriction causes a whole lot of other issues. So anyway, I could keep going and going and going, but that is kind of a prime example of foods. Like I said, these could be utilized for snacks. I forgot to throw that in there. I ate this the other day as a snack. This is kind of like my snack plate. You can use rice cakes for snack plates. You can do a lot of different things for snacks. You can do protein bars. I just don't have any right now. I actually ate a protein bar for a snack today. I did a protein bar and a banana, but guess what? I don't have any more on me, so I couldn't show you. So lots of different options, lots of different ways. It's just changing the variety is what's going to help you the best. So anyway, if you have any questions on this, I think this is the most food becomes the most recipes and ideas. I think a lot of people get really intrigued with this. And so I think it's so important to make sure that you're picking the right sources and building the plate appropriately, and eating mainly a breakfast, lunch, and dinner is going to be the game changer most consistently. I get there's going to be days and jobs that you just can't sit down and eat, but guess what? You can always sip on a protein shake. You can always sip on something really basic. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but skipping meals is not helpful. As you're noticing, all of these are great quality carbohydrate sources. Do not skip on your carbs, ladies, women. We need carbs. We need white rice is fantastic. If you lack in the fibers department, you could do brown rice, right? This is where individualization, can I say that word? This is where individualized methods can shift, right? I'm a person that gets plenty of fiber through fruits and vegetables. If you're not, maybe brown rice is a better option for you. Brown rice is not better than white rice, and white rice is not better than brown rice. They both serve a purpose. And if you like the taste of one or the other, guess what? I like the taste of white rice better. Actually, jasmine rice is my go-to. And the other big thing is the all or nothing eating, you know, and I emphasize this a lot through the training, and I do apologize, this is like the longest training of the week, but I feel like there's a lot to cover in this one, is, as I said, incorporating some sweet treats, incorporating, actually, I always forget these things, like having some cake, right? Incorporating these things are so important. Eating out is important. If you like to have some alcohol, drink some alcohol. All of those things need to be done in moderation. We should not be having a piece of cake. I mean, I guess you could eat a piece of cake every night if we manage it appropriately. You could, right? It's not the end of the world. It's really not. We just have to make sure all the other macros and calories are lining up. And you could have a piece of cake every single day if you wanted it. That's where you'll see some of those fitness influencers that like eat McDonald's for a day, or for like a month, and blah, 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 and lose weight. They're just eating in a caloric deficit. Anyway, I go on about that. But incorporating a variety of things and not overeating. Alcohol is a whole other conversation. I actually did a full-on training about how to lose fat and consume alcohol. Alcohol can get a little bit touchy. The only two things I'm going to throw in with alcohol, I drink as well. I tell my clients if they want to drink, they can. We have to watch the quantity of alcohol because it's very easy to get too many calories in because it's liquid, right? Liquid is easy to consume. And then part two with alcohol, the reason why it causes excess weight gain is because we get the munchies. We like to have more gluttonous snacks sometimes when we drink alcohol, and that's where the extra calories come from. Some individuals, just like individuals that have gluten intolerances, and individuals that have dairy intolerances as well, some people, alcohol can cause more inflammation into the body than others, just like gluten, just like dairy. So that can also become individualized. So just be mindful of how alcohol is affecting you. If it's disrupting your fat loss journey, just be mindful of that. That's kind of my quick 2 cents for that. But yes, like I said, most importantly, you know, what most successful, the things that my most successful clients do that do differently, I am telling you, this is the basics. I'm going to wrap it up here, is they fuel constantly with balanced meals. They're not perfect. They have like weeks, really crappy work weeks. They have weeks that just life happens, right? But they keep going and they keep implementing the best that they can. The biggest thing that they do is they strength train anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. They make sure they walk more. That's a big one. And the last piece of this is they have structure and accountability to help them keep going. They're not just like, am I doing this rightly? Am I doing this right? I'm not sure. They don't have to question all of those things. They are actually, doing it following the plan that will help them get there, so that they're not constantly guessing. How amazing would that be if you're just like, the guesswork kind of can stop because you actually have somebody telling you like X, Y, Z. But last but not least, as always, is tracking's not forever. And I will always push and promote this as well, is remember, you can get results without tracking forever, but you just have to learn how to build your meals. And how else do you learn about what meals to make if you don't build them, right? Tracking gives you a tool, it gives you information, and then just like what I tracked what I ate tonight, right? Gave an idea of what this looked like. How many calories, how many protein, all the things that I just walked through. This is why before you do a pre-casserole dish, break this down first. You'll learn how to do it. Yes, it takes maybe an extra 10 minutes, but I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you don't have to keep guessing every single time if this was a quality dish for you or not. I'm telling you, tracking is just a tool. It's a useful information. It gets you in the right direction. You get structured eating, then you can stop guessing about numbers, and then you know. And then you can eat food with just visuals without having to always constantly guess. Like, how amazing would that be? You get on track, you have your plan, you know what to do, you know how to ebb and flow. It's golden. Anyway, last but not least, man, guys, I was really hoping to do a giveaway, but you guys must be all busy tonight. There just hasn't been very many people on the live tonight. So let's do this a little bit differently. If you watching the replay, because yes, I'm going to do this at the very end, I want you to comment down below with the word replay. That's all you have to do. Comment below with the word replay. And I'm going to give you a bundle of my top guides that include the fiber guide, the how to put plates together, my meal planning guide, and a grocery and protein guide. I'm telling you, these are my top guides that people love. I will send them all directly to your inbox. Comment below with the word replay. That will get sent to you. I want to help, I will make sure that you will get all those so that you can start building your dishes, creating more of the structured plan that I have talked about, and how to actually start fueling your body to heal so it can actually get into a fat loss phase. Do not skip that part. I hope this was helpful. I really hope these 3 days gave you an insight of really some structured ways to get you moving in the right direction. And as always, thank you for showing up. Thank you for following me. I just hope that, like I said, my hope is just to help, and I want to help. I'm losing my voice now. However I can to get you moving in the right direction. And my biggest push is for you just to feel freaking good. I want you to feel good. So thank you again. You know where to find me. This is not the last live you'll see me on, but this is the end of the live for the mini series. Remember, get the giveaway, comment down below with replay. Can't wait to see you all. I will be in touch with you all later. Anyway, have a great evening.